Let's look at application of integration when studying the motion along a line or motion in one dimension. We know that the displacement of an object in time t, let's say we represent it as s of t, will be given by a expression. Okay. Now, beyond that, if we look at velocity with respect to time, and then again, if we look at acceleration with respect to time, if we have to relate these three, then if we go from displacement to this velocity, what we have to do is to differentiate, right? Similarly, to go from velocity to acceleration, we have to differentiate again. But given the acceleration, to figure out the velocity, we have to integrate. And again, from velocity, if we have to go back to displacement, we have to again integrate. Okay. So keeping this in mind, and since this being basically a session on integration, we will start with either acceleration or velocity. Okay. Now we are given that velocity with respect to time is equal to 3t square minus 28t. What we have to figure out is the displacement with respect to t. What is it? Now, as you know that when we do integration, we get a constant of integration, right? So that means we can never get the precise expression. So for that, we require one more condition. So let us say the displacement at a zero is equal to zero. So one additional fact we require. Okay, so which means what? We are given velocity, we have to figure out displacement. So we know S of t is equal to the integral of V of t dt, which is equal to integral of 3t square minus 28t dt, which is equal to 3t cube minus 3 minus 28t square by 2. So 3 cancel, 2 and 28 cancels, plus c, constant of integration. Okay, now we have got this. So we also know that s of 0 is equal to 0, which means 0 is equal to, substitute 0 for t. So that would be what? 0 minus 0 plus c, which means c is equal to 0. So therefore, s of t is equal to t cube minus 14t square. Okay. Second one, v of t is equal to 3t square minus 46t plus 120. And we are given that the displacement at time 0 is equal to 0. So given these two facts, we can figure out the displacement is equal to integral of v of t dt, which is equal to integral of 3t square minus 46t plus 120 dt, which gives us 3t cube minus 3 minus 46t square by 2 plus 120t plus c. But since s of 0 equal to 0, c will become 0. So therefore, if we do the necessary cancellations, we get t cube minus 23t square plus 120t as the displacement. Okay. Third one, v of t is equal to 3t square minus 8t minus 60, and s of 0 is equal to 0. So we know s of t is going to be 3 integral of, let me actually mention that, integral of v of t dt, which means integral of 3t square minus 8t minus 60, which is equal to 3t cube minus 3 minus t square by 2 minus 60t plus c. Now s of 0 is 0. So all the t's will become 0, which means c will be equal to 0, which means t cube minus 4t square minus 60t plus 0. That is what the displacement would be. Okay, now fourth one, v of t is equal to 3t square minus 32t plus 64, and s of 0 is equal to 0. So s of t would be integral of v of t dt, which means integral of 3t square minus 32t plus 64 dt, which is equal to 3t cube by 3 minus 32t square by 2 plus 64t plus c. And again, c is going to become 0 because s of 0 is equal to 0. So s of t would be equal to 3 cancels, 2 16s. So we have t cube minus 16t square plus 64t as the expression for displacement. At the fifth one, v of t is equal to minus 3t square plus 22t and s of 0 equal to 0. So s of t is going to be minus 3t square integral of plus 22t dt, which is equal to minus 3t cube by 3 plus 22t square by 2 plus c. And s of 0 is 0. So all the t's become 0. So c will be equal to 0 plus, if we do the simplification, 3 cancels and 2 11s, and this becomes 0. So we have s of t equal to minus t cube plus 11t square. Sixth one, v of t is equal to minus 3t square plus 36t minus 81, and s of 0 is equal to 0. So again, s of t is going to be integral of v of t dt, which means integral of minus 3t square plus 36t minus 81 dt, which is equal to minus 3t cube by 3 plus 36t square by 2 minus 81t plus c. And again, because s of 0 equal to 0, t's all become 0, c will be equal to 0. So this becomes 0, 3 cancels, 2 18s. So our expression for displacement is minus t cube plus 18t square minus 81t. Seventh one. Now here we are given acceleration a of t is equal to 60 minus 22. And we are given that s of 0 equal to 0 and b of 0 is equal to 0. And we have to figure out s of t equal to what? Naturally, v of t equal to what we will have to do, figure out s of t. So if we integrate a of t, we get v of t. So v of t is equal to integral of a of t dt, which is equal to integral of 60 minus 22 dt, which is equal to 60 square by 2 minus 22t plus c. But remember, v of 0 is 0. So this c will become 0. 2 3's. So v of t will be 3t square minus 22t. Okay. Now S of t is equal to integral of v of t, and v of t is this. So which means integral of 3t square minus 22t, which gives us 3t cube by 3 minus 22t square by 2 plus, let's say c1 because we have already used c. Okay, now again v of 0 is s of 0 is 0. So 0, all the t's become 0, so c1 is equal to 0. So this also becomes 0. 3 cancels, 2 11s, which means s of t is equal to t cube minus 11t square. Okay, eighth one. Okay, now a of t is equal to 60 minus 28. S of 0 is equal to 0, v of 0 is equal to 0. So we have to figure out v of t. V of t is going to be integral of a of t dt, which is equal to integral of 60 minus 28, which is equal to 60 square minus 2 minus 28t plus, let's say, c1. Now because v of t equal to 0, this will become 0. So which means 2 3's. So 3t square minus 28t is going to be v of t. Okay. S of t will be integral of v of t dt, which is equal to integral of 3t square minus 28t dt, which is equal to 3t cube by 3 minus 28t square by 2 plus c2. And again s of t is 0. So this will become 0. 3 and 3 cancels, 2 14s. So our S of t is going to be equal to t cube minus 14t square. Okay, that was the eighth one. Now ninth, A of t is equal to 60 minus 44. S of 0 equal to 0 and V of 0 is equal to 121. Okay. So now again we have to figure out the V of t and S of t, velocity and displacement. So V of t is equal to integral of A of t dt, which is equal to integral of 60 minus 44 dt, which is equal to 60 square by 2 minus 44 t plus c1, 2 3's, and here v of 0 is 121. So 121 is equal to 0 minus 0 plus c1. So c1 is equal to 121. So this will become 3t square minus 44t plus 121. Now s of t is equal to the integral of v of t dt, which is equal to integral of 3t square minus 44t plus 121 dt, which is equal to 3t cube by 3 minus 44t square by 2 plus 121t plus c2. Now s of t is, s of 0 is 0, which means the c2 is going to be 0. 3 and 3 cancels, 2 screws. So we have t cube minus 22t square plus 121t as the displacement. Okay. Let's look at the 10th one. A of t is equal to minus 60 plus 60. S of 0 is equal to 0. V of 0 is equal to minus 225. V of t is equal to integral of A of t dt, which is equal to integral of minus 60 plus 60 dt which is equal to minus 6t square by 2 plus 60t plus C1. Okay, now V of 0 is minus 225. So this is going to become minus 225. So therefore V of t will be minus 3t square plus 60t minus 225. Okay. Now S of t is equal to integral of V of t dt, which is equal to integral of minus 3t square plus 6t minus 225 dt. This gives us 3t cube by 3 plus 60t square by 2 minus 225t plus C2. Now S of 0 is 0. So that means this will become 0. 3 cancels, 2 30s. So we have minus t cube plus 30t square minus 225t as the displacement. Now 11th one, A of t is equal to 60 minus 46. S of 0 is equal to 0. V of 0 is equal to 120. And again we have to figure out V of t and S of t. So V of t is equal to integral of A of t dt, which gives us integral of 60 minus 46, which becomes 60 square by 2 minus 46t plus C1. Now V of t is equal to 120. Sorry, V of 0 is 120. So this becomes 120. 2 threes. So we have 3t square minus 46t plus 120 as V of t. Now S of t, displacement. This would be integral of V of t dt, which gives us integral of 3t square minus 46t plus 120. If we integrate it, we get 3t cube by 3 minus 46t square by 2 plus 120t plus C2. But we have already, S of 0 is 0. So which means this will become 0. So 3 and 3 cancels, 2 23s. So our expression for the displacement is t cube minus 23t square plus 120t. See here, without even thinking of a graph, we are able to solve this. Okay, now 12th one. A of t is equal to minus 60 plus 56. S of 0 equal to 0 and V of 0 is equal to minus 196. We have to figure out the V of t and S of t, velocity and displacement. So V of t is equal to integral of A of t dt, which is equal to integral of minus 60 plus 56 dt, which gives us minus 6t square by 2 plus 56t plus C1. Now V of 0 is minus 196. So this will become 196 minus 2 threes. So we have minus 3t square plus 56t minus 196. Okay, now S of t is going to be integral of V of t d, which is equal to integral of minus 3t square plus 56t minus 196 minus 3t cube by 3 plus 56t square by 2 minus 196t plus C2. But we are given that S of 0 is 0. So this will become 0. 3 cancels. 2 2's, 2 8's. So we have minus t cube plus 28t square minus 196t as the expression for displacement. Okay, now comes the challenging part. Here we were basically focusing on the general expressions for velocity and displacement. Now onwards, we're going to look at it in a given interval. We are given a of t 60 minus 60. We are given that velocity at 0 is equal to 225, and we have to figure out the displacement, the distance is equal to what in the interval t between 2 and 6, right? So we have to figure out the displacement, figure out the distance. Now, as far as displacement is concerned, we have to first of all figure out the velocity. So let's figure out the velocity. V of t is equal to integral of 60 minus 60 dt, which is equal to 60 square by 2 minus 60t plus c1, let's say. Now we are given that v of 0 is 225. So this becomes 3t square minus 60t plus 225. Okay, so this is v of t. So displacement would be integral of v of t dt, which is equal to integral of 3t square minus 60t plus 225 dt from 2 to 6. Okay, now let's integrate this. We get 3t cube by 3 minus 60t square by 2 plus 225t in the interval 2 to 6. Okay, so this would be 3 cancels, 2 30s. Now let's evaluate this. We get 6 cube is 216 minus 36 times 3 is 1080 plus 225 times 6 is 1350 minus 2 cube is 8 minus 4 times 30 is 120 plus 225 times 2 is 450. This gives us 486 minus 338, which is equal to 148 units, meters, centimeters, or whatever it is. This was displacement. Now, when it comes to distance, remember, when we talk of distance, we are not bothered about the direction. Whereas in case of displacement, we do bother, right? So, what do we do? The expression for evaluating the distance is equal to integral of the absolute value of v of t dt. Yes, and this would be from where to where? 2 to 6. But it might happen that if this is the curve, so let's say what is v of 0 is 225, and the velocity expression is 3t square. So something like this it is. So it may go something like this. All right. Now here the area under this curve is going to be positive and area under this curve is going to be negative. Now when we are calculating the displacement, this area minus this area will give you the displacement. But when it comes to distance, we have to convert this into the positive like this. So this area plus this area without the negative sign, that will give us the distance. So that is why we have the absolute value. And that creates a problem because now we have to figure out, does it cross the x-axis at some point? So which means we might have to change this intervals. So let's see. We know that the expression for v of t is 3t square minus 60t plus 225. So we have to figure out the zeros of this. Minus 60t plus 225 equal to 0. We have to figure out the zeros. 3 is common to all of them. So t square minus 20t plus 3 7s 21, 3 5s 15. Okay, let's factorize this. We get t and t. 15 5 75. So 15 5 minus minus. That means t is equal to 5 or 15. That means at these points it crosses the x-axis. But our interval is 2 to 6. Right? So we are not really bothered about that 15 part of it. We can stop at 6 itself. So this expression, this integral actually splits into 2. It goes from 2 to 5 of absolute value of v of t dt plus integral of from 5 to 6, because that is the end point for us. Absolute value of v of t d. So now we have to evaluate both of these and add them up. So what do we get? We get 2 to 5 of okay, let's say absolute value of 3t square minus 60t plus 225 dt plus again from 5 to 6 absolute value of 3t square minus 60t plus 225 dt. Okay, let's integrate them. We get 3t cube by 3, so t cube minus 60t square by 2, that means 30t square plus 225t from 2 to 5 plus again absolute value of t cube minus 30t square plus 225t from 5 to 6. Okay, now let's take care of the limits. What do we get? We get 500 if we substitute 5 minus if we substitute 2 we get 338 plus absolute value of if we substitute 6 we get 486 minus if we substitute 5 we get 500. Now 500 minus 338 is going to be 162 plus 486 minus 500 will give us minus 40, but because of this absolute value it will become plus 40, and that gives us 176 units. So as you have noticed, uh, figuring out the displacement is much more easier than figuring out the distance. Okay, now let's look at the 14th one. Again we are given a of t is equal to 16 minus 26. V of 0 is equal to 40 and t is between 1 and 4. We have to figure out the distance and the displacement. Okay, to figure out both we require v of t. So let's first figure out v of t, which is the integral of a of t dt, which gives us integral of 60 minus 26 dt, which gives us 60 square by 2 minus 2060 2 3's plus c. Let's say 1. Now v of 0 is 40. So c1 will become 40. So we have 3t square minus 26t plus 40. So that's the expression for the velocity. The displacement is equal to integral of v of t. From when to when? It is given as 1 to 4. So 1 to 4. This gives us integral from 1 to 4 of 3t square minus 26t plus 40 dt, which is equal to 3t cube by 3, so t cube minus 26t square by 2, that is 13t square plus 40t. Yes, and since it is definite integrals, the constants will cancel out each other. So we have 1 to 4. This would be equal to, if we substitute 4, 4, 4, 16, 464 minus 4, 4, 16. 16 times 13 is 208 plus 160 minus 1 minus 13 plus 40, which gives us minus 12 units is the displacement. Okay, then now we have to figure out the distance. So when we talk of distance, remember integral of v of t absolute value dt, and we require it for 1 to 4, which is equal to integral from 1 to 4 of what is it, 3t square minus 26t, 3t square minus 26t plus 40 dt. And because it may cross the x-axis, let's see what the zeros are. So 3t square minus 26t plus 40 equal to 0. Now here, what do we do? Let's use the quadratic formula itself. So t is equal to minus b. So 26 plus or minus square root of b square. So 26 square is 676 minus 4ac. 4 4 16, 160, 16 is 48. So 480 by 2a. So 6, which gives us 26 plus or minus square root of 196, which is 14 by 6, which gives us, so our integral actually gets split into 1 to 2. 3t square minus 26t plus 40 dt plus, and here we have to use the absolute sign, plus integral from 2 to, we don't need 6.6 because our limit is 4. So 2 to 4 of absolute value of 3t square minus 26t plus 40 dt. Now we have to evaluate them and add them up. So what do we get? We get 3t square t cube minus 13t square plus 40t absolute value from 1 to 2 plus again absolute value of t cube minus 13t square plus 40t from 2 to 4. Okay, now this will be 8 minus 2 to 4, 13 4 52 plus 42 is 80 minus 1 minus 13 plus 40. Always better to write it fully, because doing it in your mind, you might make a mistake. Okay, and here we get 4 cube, that is 64 minus 4 4 16 times 13 is 208 plus 160 minus 8 minus 13 4 52 plus 80. Again we have to close the absolute value. Okay, this is 52. Okay, so now if we evaluate this, what do we get? We get absolute value of 36 minus 28 plus absolute value of 16 minus 36. 36 minus 28 gives us 8. Absolute value of 8 is 8 plus this gives us minus 20, which gives us 8 plus 20, which is 28 units. So that is the distance. So you can see that there is a difference between displacement and, remember, distance will never go into negative. So through some calculations, if you end with a negative distance, you would have made a mistake. So you have to trace back the error. Okay, so now let's look at the 15th one. A of t is equal to 60 minus 24. V of 0 equal to 0. And the time interval is 7 to 12. And again, we have to figure out the distance and displacement. Okay, so in either case, we have to figure out V of t. So let's figure out V of t, which is going to be the integral of A of t dt, which gives us integral of 60 minus 24 dt, 60 square by 2 minus 24t, plus we know that the V of 0 is 0. So which means this will be 0. The constant of integration will be 0. 2 threes. So we have 3t square minus 24t. That is velocity. Now let's figure out displacement. This is going to be the integral of V of t dt. From where to where? 7 to 12. So integral from 7 to 12 of 3t square minus 24t dt. Okay, now here let's integrate this. We get 3t cube by 3. So t cube minus 24t square by 2, that is 12t square, plus c. I should have mentioned that, but because it is definite integral, anyhow it is going to get cancelled. So here we have 7 to 12. So here 12 cube minus 12 times 12 square, which is 12 cube. So that will become 0. Okay. So 0 minus 7 cube is 343 minus 12 times 7 square. 12 times 49 is 588, which gives us minus 343 minus 588 gives us minus 245, which gives us 245 units. Whatever. That's the displacement. Now coming to the distance, again we have to figure out the zeros. So integral from 7 to 12 of absolute value of V of t dt, which is equal to, so let's figure out the zeros. 3t square minus 24t equal to 0. That means t, 3t we can take it out. So we are left with t minus 8 equal to 0. That means t equal to 0 or 8. But our interval is 7 to 12. So that means this is going to get split into 7 to 8, absolute value of V of t dt, plus 8 to 12, absolute value of V of t dt. Okay. Now let's integrate this. Okay, before we integrate, let's actually write the expression absolute value of 3t square minus 24t dt plus integral from 8 to 12 of absolute value of 3t square minus 24t. Okay, now let's integrate. We get absolute value of 3t cube by 3, that is t cube minus 12t square from 7 to 8, plus again absolute value of t cube minus 12t square from 8 to 12. Okay, so this will be 8 cube is 512 minus 768 minus now substitute 7, we get 343 minus 588 absolute value plus again, so 12 12 12 is 1728. Actually t cube minus 12 times t square, that is 12 cube, so that would be cancelled out. Minus, now 8 cube is 512 minus 768 absolute value. This gives us absolute value of minus 256 minus 245 plus absolute value of 0 minus 256, which gives us minus 256 plus 245. So let me write it as one more step. Plus 245 plus, and here minus minus cancels out, so I can write it as 256. And here minus 256 plus 245 gives me 11. Actually it gives me minus 11, but absolute value 11 plus 256, which gives us 267 units as the distance covered. 16th one, acceleration is given in terms of 60 minus 16. We are given that velocity at 0 time is 0, and we have to figure out the displacement and distance in the interval 2 to 7. Okay, so we have to figure out the displacement and distance. Okay, so we know we require v of t. So v of t is equal to integral of a of t dt, which is equal to integral of 60 minus 16 dt, which is 6t square by 2, that is 3t square minus 16t plus c1. Now v of 0 is equal to 0, so which means c1 will be equal to 0. So we are left with 3t square minus 16t. Now let's first figure out the displacement, that is s of t. This is going to be integral from 2 to 7 of v of t, that is integral of 3t square minus 16t dt. So let's integrate it. 3t cube by 3, so t cube minus 16t square by 2, so 8t square plus c2, the constant of integration will get cancelled out when we talk of definite integral. So 2 to 7. Okay, this would be 343 minus 392 minus 8 minus 32, which gives us minus 25 units. Okay, this is pretty straightforward. Now when it comes to distance, you know that we have to figure out the zeros of the velocity. So let's figure out the zeros. 3t square minus 16t, right? 3t square minus 16t equal to 0. This would be, t is common, let's take it out. 3t minus 16 equal to 0. That means t equal to 0, or t is equal to 16 by 3. 16 by 3 is 5.33, something like that. But our interval is actually 2 to 7. So it gets split into 2 to 16 by 3, and from 16 by 3 to 7. Okay, so distance would be equal to integral of absolute value of v of t dt from 2 to 16 by 3 plus integral from 16 by 3 to 7 of absolute value of v of t dt. So let's very quickly do this. This would be integral 2 to 16 by 3 of 3t square minus 16t absolute value dt plus integral 16 by 3 to 7 of absolute value of 3t square minus 16t dt. Okay, so now this would be absolute value. Let's write it as absolute value itself. Absolute value of 3t cube by 3, that is t cube, minus 16t square by 2, that is 8t square, from 2 to 16 by 3 plus t cube minus 8t square from 16 by 3 to 7. This would be equal to absolute value of 16 by 3 cube minus 8 times 16 by 3 square minus, substituting 2, we get 8 minus 32 plus 7 cube minus 8 times 7 square minus 16 by 3 cube minus 8 times 16 by 3 square. Okay. And if we evaluate, we get absolute value of 1400 divided by 27 plus absolute value of 725 by 27, which gives us 2125 by 27 units. A of t is equal to 60 minus 52. V of 0 is equal to 169. And the time interval we are interested in is 2 to 9. Again, we have to figure out the displacement and distance. Okay. In either case, we require V of t. So integral of A of t dt 60 minus 52, which gives us 3t square minus 52t plus C1. But V of 0 is 169. So this becomes 3t square minus 52t plus 169. Okay. So displacement is equal to integral of V of t dt from 2 to 9, which gives us integral of 3t square minus 52t plus 169 dt from 2 to 9. Okay. Now let's integrate this. 3t square becomes t cube minus 52t square by 2. So that is 26t plus 169 plus C2. But since we are talking of definite integral, we don't have to include it because it will get cancelled. From 2 to 9. Okay. And now, by the way, this is square. 52t square by 2. So 26t square. Now this would be 9 cube minus 26 times 9 square plus 169 times 9 minus 2 cube minus 26 times 2 square plus 169 times 2, which gives us 729 minus 2106 plus 1521 minus 8 minus 104 plus 338, which gives us minus 98 units. Is that displacement? Okay. Now we have to figure out the distance. Distance For this, we require the zeros of the velocity. So 3t square minus 52t plus 169 equal to 0. Let's not factorize this. Let's directly apply the quadratic formula. Minus b plus or minus square root of b square. So 2704 minus 4ac, that is 202h, divided by 2a, that is 6. So we get 52 plus or minus square root of 676 by 6, which gives us 676 square root is 26 by 6, which gives us 13 and 13 by 3. Okay, now 13 by 3, if we do a rough calculation, it gives us 5.333, something like that. So our interval is what? Our interval is 2 to 9. That will get split into 2 to 13 by 3, and from 13 by 3 to 9. We don't have to go up to 13. Okay, so our distance is equal to integral from 2 to 13 by 3 of absolute value of v of t dt plus integral from 13 by 3 to 9 of absolute value of v of t. This becomes, now substitute the v of t. What do we get? We get integral from 2 to 13 of absolute value of 3t square minus 52t plus 169 dt plus integral from 13 by 3, this is by 3, to 9 of 3t square minus 52t plus 169 dt. Okay, now let's integrate it. What do we get? 3t cube by 3, that is t cube minus 26t square plus 169t from 2 to 13 by 3 plus t cube minus 26 t square plus 169 t from 13 by 3 to 9. And let's actually take the limits now, which means we get, let me use the absolute value itself, absolute value of 13 cube by 3 cube is going to be 27 minus 26 times 13 square by 9 plus 169 times 13 by 3 minus, now we substitute 2. So 2 cube is 8 minus 26 times 4, 26 times 4 plus 169 times 2, absolute value, plus absolute value of 9 cube minus 26 times 9 square plus 169 times 9 minus 13 cube by 27 minus 26 times 13 square by 9 plus 169 times 13 by, and if we use a calculator and simplify all this and evaluate it, we get 7154 by 27 units, whatever it is. So that was the 17th one. Now 18th. Acceleration is given as 60 minus 44. V of 0 is equal to 121. And the interval we are interested in is 0 to 4. We have to figure out the displacement and distance. Okay, v of t is going to be integral of 60 minus 44 dt which gives us 6t square by 2, that is 3t square minus 44t plus c, constant of a t. And that is going to be, since v of 0 is 121, it will be 1. Okay. So now we have velocity. Let's figure out displacement. This is equal to integral of 0 to 4. That's the interval we have been given. So 0 to 4 of v of t dt, which gives us 3t cube by 3, that is t cube minus 22t square plus 121t from 0 to 4. Now, whenever you have one of the limits as 0, becomes easier for us to do the evaluation. So 4 cube is 64 minus 4 square is 16. 16 times 22 is 352 plus 121 times 4 is 484 minus 0. So this evaluates to 196 units. So that is as far as the displacement is concerned. Now let's look at the distance. For distance, we require the zeros of the velocity. So let's figure out that. Our velocity is 3t square minus 44t plus 121 equal to 0. Okay. Now let's again use quadratic formula. Minus b plus or minus square root of b square. B square is 44 square minus 4ac. So 4 times 3 times 2, 121 divided by 2a, that is 6. Now this gives us 44 plus or minus 22 by 6, which becomes 66 by 6 or 22 by 6. No, 20 by 6. And this can be further simplified to 11 and 11 by 3. So we have 11 and 11 by 3. But our interval is 0 to 4. 3 divided 11 divided by 3 gives us 3 3 is 9, 2 3 6 18, again 2, so 3.6666. Now since our interval is 0 to 4, that means if we break it up, we can break it up into 0 to 11 by 3 and 11 by 3 to 4. Now let's do the integration based on this. So our distance is going to be integral 0 to 4 of absolute value of v of t by times dt, which gives us 0 to 11 by 3 absolute value of v of t dt plus 11 by 3 to 4 absolute value of v of t dt. Okay, we have the v of t, remember. So when we integrate it, what do we get? So let me write that also once more. 11 by 3 integral of this is 3t square minus 44t plus 121 plus integral from 11 by 3 to 4 of absolute value of 3t square minus 44t plus 121 dt. So now let's integrate. We get 3t cube by 3, so t cube minus 22t square plus 121t from 0 to 11 by 3. Okay, plus absolute value of t cube minus 22t square plus 121 from 11 by 3 to 4. Okay, let me write just one more step. Then I will leave it up to you. 11 cube is 1331 by 3 cube is 9 minus 22 times 121 is 2662 by 3 square is 9. By the way, this is not going to be 9, this is going to be 27 because we are talking of 3 cubed. Okay, plus 1331 by plus, and minus, this is 0, so minus 0, plus, now we substitute 4 here, we get 64 minus 352 plus 484 minus, now we substitute 11 by 3, which we have already done once, so we can just copy it. 1331 by 27 minus 2662 by 9 plus 1331 by 3. And if we simplify this or evaluate this, we get 5324 by 27 plus absolute value of minus 32 by 27, which gives us, this becomes plus, so 5324 plus 32 by 27, which gives us 5356 by 27 units, whatever it is. So that was motion along a line, that is motion in one dimension using integration. That's it. Bye.